Hello and welcome to my Tiny Businesses channel, where each of my tiny business videos showcases a tiny business that I have created, and I will show you how to start and run it. These are actual businesses that will make you money. They are not just ideas. Each business can be run by just one person, and that would be you. Can you spell vice? You may pinch your finger in a vise, yow, which is V-I-S-E, but a V-I-C-E vice can get you in serious trouble and has an evil meaning. But that's how the British spell it in British English, V-I-C-E. This tiny business is Vises. Vises used primarily for metalworking, like jewelry making, blacksmithing, plumbing, metal fabrication, machinist work, automotive, electrical, and general repairs. In another video, I will showcase woodworking vices. In this tiny business, you will buy and resell used metalworking vices, small, medium, and large. You will focus on older U.S., Japanese, British, and German-made vices. Good quality vices are easy to find, easy to resell, and have a high profit margin ranging from 325 to 1200%, meaning that you can buy a really nice vice for only $25 and resell it for as much as $300. Now, before you buy any vices, I want you to go to some pawn shops, flea markets, estate sales, auctions, and eBay to see how much used vices are selling for. Get to know the names of older, quality vices like Wilton, Craftsman, Aaron, Dunlap, Smith, Yost, Worth, Fuller, Colombian, and many others. Write down the different names that you see and write down the selling prices. Now, go to Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware, eBay, and stores that sell new vices. See what they look like when they are brand new. Check out their features. See how they work. Write down the prices and brand names. The purpose of doing this is so that when you are looking to buy a used device, you will know if it is in good condition, that it looks good, that it works good, that it is good quality, and that you will be able to sell it for a huge profit. You will also know whether to pay $5, $15, or $25 for it. And if you can't make at least $20 profit, do not buy it. It's not worth your time and effort. Okay, now let's go look at some used vices that you'll see for sale at garage sales, estate sales, rummage sales, flea markets, church sales, auctions, tool sales, and barn sales. Those are the places where you will buy used vices. Now right here you can see a really small vise, which is a machinist vise, and it is made by Stanley, which is an American and British brand. Really good quality. And they're tight and they're smooth compared to, say, a more of a general purpose vise like this one here. And this vise here is a bigger machinist vise. It is a Palmgren brand, which is US made. And this is a Babco, which is like I said, a general purpose vise. It's a Japanese make, which is it's pretty good. And right here is a Wilton vise. They make some of the better quality heavy duty vices, especially the older ones. And you can see on here that it is made in the US. And then over here, I have another vise, a heavy-duty vise, that I'm going to show you after I plug in the light so you can see what it looks like. And it is a really heavy-duty, older Rock Island vise. It probably weighs maybe 40 to 50, maybe 60 pounds, somewhere in there. But those are really good quality, and they get big prices for them too. So that's a good selection of vices that you'll be looking for. And like I said earlier, there's all kinds of all different names for older, good quality American-made vices, and English vices, and German vices, and Japanese vices. So now we'll look again at those small, medium, and large vices that I just showed you, because these are typical of what you will find and buy to resell. Do not buy Chinese junk, and then you won't have to apologize for your vices when you sell them. So here's what to look for in a quality used vise. And we'll start with this small one here. Does it look good? You want to make sure that it's not beat up, because nobody wants to buy a beat up, bad looking vise. Unless it's something you just want to buy to leave outside and you don't care if it gets rusted and weathered. You want to look that it's not missing anything. And in this one, you can tell that it is missing the handle that goes on to the end of the threading screw right here. And that's because I removed it because I was doing some work on it. And working on vices isn't something that I recommend, because you can put a lot of time into them. And my focus is buying vices that don't need a lot of work and don't have problems, so that I can just buy them and resell them. So you're going to look to see that there's nothing cracked, there's nothing broken on them. Because when you have cracked and broken vices, that's a problem. And you'll have trouble reselling them. You might keep them for parts, but it's not ideal for sure. And then you can see this vise, okay? So you want to check the main screw, okay, that it threads smoothly both in and out. And you want to do this before you buy the vise. So spin it all the way out, and then spin it all the way back in. Because sometimes people drop vices, they torque on them, they beat on them, and this main screw will wobble, and it will not thread in properly, and it will cause you problems. And they're really hard to straighten out. The other thing you want to be watching is, as you're threading this screw in and out, is this head on the vise here, is it binding or is it moving in and out smoothly? Because if it isn't, that can be a serious problem, and it can be hard to correct. Sometimes it may need just a little oiling, which you can see I've oiled this before I started doing the video, just to make sure that it does go smoothly. And the other thing you want to check is this handle. Handles commonly are bent, and they don't slide smoothly and properly through the screw end here, because people will put like cheater bars or a pipe or something, or they'll use a pipe wrench or something else to crank on these little handles, and they'll get bent, and they're really hard to straighten out, and they're hard to replace. Now on this vise, this is more of a general purpose vise. It's not as precise as this machinist vise. If you're looking right here at the jaws, you can see that how nicely they squeeze together and there's hardly any gap in there, and that's how it should look. And you can also see if it's been really beat on, because right where the jaws come together you'll see dents and chips and hammer marks. Whereas on a general purpose vise, you can expect that it's going to have some flaws in it, because people use them for beating on and and all kinds of stuff. But the important thing you want to check out is that the main screw on it here feeds in and out smoothly and doesn't bind and doesn't jam. The same thing with this slider bar down here, or whatever you call it. You want to check that it feeds in and out smoothly, and that it hasn't been bent, and that it doesn't bind. And again, we can see that on this bigger vise. And this is a heavy-duty vise. It's meant to be hit on because it's got like an anvil head right here. But again, you want to check this action on the handles and see that it spins smoothly. Well, it needs to be locked down, but you can see that it moves smoothly like it should. And sometimes they just need a little oil, like you can see I've done here, and then thread it back in to see that it's smooth. Now, on these general purpose vices, they will have some play in them, and you can expect that. Whereas on the more precise machinist vices, you don't want a bunch of play in them, because you're going to need them to be more precise. Now, when you're checking the base lock on these, which is right here, again, these handles are very commonly bent from people torquing on them with cheater bars. And sometimes, if they're really bad, like on this one, this could be taken out and replaced, or maybe even fixed. But you want to make sure that it cranks down tightly with just your hand and not using an additional wrench to hold it in place so that it's firm. And you can see that it is like that. So when you loosen it up, you want to see that it spins smoothly. And then check the vise for welds or cracks, especially underneath. You know, and in places like this where they really get torqued on and beat on, you want to make sure that there's no hairline cracks or places where they've been welded, because welds just don't look good. And then you want to open them up. You want to open the jaw up, and you want to look at the faces of the jaw to see if they look square and flat, and like I showed you before, that they close together flush, so they'll be tight. Those are the kind of things you want to look for. A lot of times these plates will be all beat up and smooth because they've been beat on and smashed so much, whereas these, you can see that they still have pointed edges on the plates. These plates can be removed and replaced, but again, it's additional money you're going to have to spend, which would cut into your profit. So ideally, you don't want to have to do that. Like I briefly mentioned before, if you can, unless the vise is permanently mounted to a bench or something, flip it over and check the underside to make sure there's nothing wrong, that there's no cracks, that it hasn't been beat up and abused. And spin it. Spin it to make sure that it moves like it should. And after you're finished doing all your preliminary tests on the vise, and you think it's a good deal and you buy it, bring it home, blow it off, brush it off, remove any light rust if there's any, and suck up any metal shavings that might be on it, that might be caught inside the vise. Or if you have an air compressor, blow it out or just use any handy wire brush to clean it out and clean it up so that it looks good. And then wipe off any grease or grime. And the other thing you want to do prior to selling it is to put a little oil, like I said before, on the screw. You want to oil the screw up, and there's a washer, like a retaining washer in here. So as I started to say, before you sell your vise, you want to make sure that you also oil these retaining washers on the outside and on the inside, because if you don't oil them, sometimes they'll squeak and grind, and they'll just make the vise sound like there's something wrong with it. Okay, so now you're ready to sell your vise. You can resell your vises on Craigslist, at garage sales, at flea markets, on bulletin boards, via buy and sell papers like Dollar Saver and Thrifty Nickel, etc., Facebook Marketplace, free advertising publications and newspapers, eBay, and other online venues, and even your neighborhood websites. You can also sell them through consignment tool stores. The way to price your vises varies. You can check comparable vises on eBay and lower your price a few dollars. You can sell your vises on eBay and price them similar to the second highest price. And you can price your vises higher than flea market prices. Price your vises similar or a little cheaper than guys who are regular sellers on Craigslist. Be sure to keep notes of your selling prices, then gradually increase or decrease them to see which prices sell best. When posting your sales ads for vises online, take clean, clear photos, front, back, sides, and bottom. Great photos sell vises. In the text of your ad, state the brand, the size, the model number, the throat opening, basically from faceplate to faceplate, whether it's swivel or a fixed base, and the degrees of rotation, whether it's 180 or 360 or something in between, the jaw width, which is right here, the color or colors, the condition, the price, and your contact information. You can make a lot of easy money with this tiny business because everybody needs a good vise or two or three. So help me help you. Help me to continue to make a lot more tiny business videos that will make you money. I've written a companion book to help you expand and grow your tiny business. It's called Tiny Part-Time High Profit Businesses That Can Make You Rich by Nick Kosich, and that would be me. It's available directly from Amazon.com. Just type in my name, Nick Kosich, and subscribe to my channel so that I can let you know what tiny business is coming next and when, plus give you sales tips to help your business run smoothly. So next time, when I see you again with another tiny business, have a good day. Bye. Whoops, I forgot to show you my book. There it is. Tiny part-time high profit businesses that can make you rich by yours truly, Nick Kosich. Thank you. Bye.